Awesome.
Yeah, up in Indianapolis when it's snowing and like 5 degrees. It's awesome.
Oh, is it really?
It's horrible. It's been snowing since about 10 o'clock last night. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, yeah, it's like a whiteout right now. It's awesome.
I will
So
not tell you that I am in Florida and it's 70 degrees.
I'm just gonna pretend I didn't hear that.
Okay.
You've got a lot to look forward to when you're up here in about a month. So
I know, I know. Santa brought me a very good Columbia coat just for the occasion.
nice. Hopefully it won't be
Yes.
too bad by then. It should. We'll see. Fingers
Awesome.
crossed. Man, you're out on Winter Jam. You guys are down in Florida right now, like you just said. I feel like Winter Jam does it just right when it comes to like the winter months. You spend a little bit of time in the cold, but then you get to go down south, spend some time in
Yeah,
the warmer states, just in time to come back up and just freeze to death up here in the
exactly.
the Midwest. But it's been just a little under a week or so that Winter
Okay.
Jam started. You guys are in the beginning stages of the tour. How's
Yes.
everything? How's everything going? I know you did West Coast last year, I think, right?
I did, yeah. We did West Coast in November, and that was 2 weeks, and it was
Hmm.
crazy and fun. And we just started back last weekend, so this is
Yeah.
our second week out on the East Coast, and it's awesome. It's so much fun. We have Skillet obviously
Hmm.
headlining, and Carrie Job and Building 429, and just some really incredible artists. So it's
Yeah,
so fun.
it's a great lineup. I mean,
It is.
you're doing the pre-jam party, and
Yes.
you're doing that with Dan and Westover.
Westover, yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
how is it kicking things off? I mean, I feel like I've done Winter Jam. I've been to that probably 5 or 6 times, and I feel like no matter what, people are getting there early. People are lining up hours before the doors open. So
Right.
even though you're on the pre-jam party, you're still playing to a pretty good sized crowd for the most part.
For sure. So East Coast has been a lot different than West Coast. I feel like West Coast, there wasn't as many people out there for the pre-jam
Okay,
party, and East Coast, by the time Dan and I are going on and Westover, the whole arena is full already.
that's
Like
awesome.
people, yeah, people are getting there 4 or 5 hours and waiting in line, and
Yeah.
it's amazing dedication.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a fun Winter Jam. It's a different kind of tour. There's just a certain atmosphere and energy in that building.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter what's going on. It's just fun. It's a fun family atmosphere, and it's a party. That's exactly what it is. It's like a 5 6 hour long party.
It's
Um,
true, yeah.
it's so much. It's just so much fun to be a part of.
Yeah,
And
Dan and I always joke when we at the end of the concert when Skillet's finished, we all the artists they go to their merch tables to meet people and take pictures and
yeah.
he and I always joke with people that are waiting to meet us because we're like, oh, it was last year when you saw us because it's like a 6 hour concert. So we're like, you saw us yesterday.
Right.
But it's really, really fun. I mean, to play to an
Awesome.
arena and just to get to sing about the Lord is a dream.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean it's and you're one of the artists I'm looking forward to seeing the most because I haven't seen you live yet.
Yeah.
And I've been listening to the record all morning to get ready for this interview, and it's every song on the album is good.
Thank you.
Definitely there's not a weak song on the album. You go in a couple different directions,
Hmm.
lyrically and musically and thematically on the album. Um, and it's how much of the record are you playing on Winter Jam? Because I know you don't get a lot of time on
Right.
stage, but you get just enough.
Yeah. So we're doing two different sets, and it just depends on the night, like which one we do. And
Okay,
one set we play all three songs are original off the record. We do
awesome.
a song called "Walking with the Light," and then we do "You Will Make a Way," and then a song called "My God."
Yeah,
And then some nights we do Walking with the Light and a song called Now, which was my first
yeah,
single. And then we actually cover I Can Only Imagine. So,
nice,
yeah, we just change
very
it
cool.
up just depending on how I'm feeling and if my voice is given out for the day before.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, lots of days in a row there on this tour.
mhm.
One song that really stands out to me is one that you didn't mention, but it's "Looking Back at Me."
Oh,
which,
I'm so glad you like that.
yes, I've loved that song. I've got to ask, is that a song, and maybe it's not either of these, but is that a song that you wrote to your younger self or to your daughters for when they're
Yes.
older?
So it's both. I grew up in Georgia and I moved to Nashville when I was 17 to do music. And when I was in high school, I was bullied a lot for singing, and I performed all the
Really?
time, all over the South. And there were a lot of times in high school, this sounds so embarrassing, but I would eat my lunch in the bathroom.
Hmm.
And I just had a really kind of rough few years. And so I wanted to write a song, like if I could go back in time and tell myself something, it would be, to be fearless and not to believe like the negative things people were saying to me, but it also at the same time gave me motivation to keep chasing my dream.
Hmm.
And I actually had a writing session with my good friend who you probably know, Matthew West.
Yeah.
And I brought up the idea of doing that, and he asked me, he said, "Do you have a song on your album for your daughters?" And I said, "No, because every time I try to write for them, I just start crying."
Right.
And he said, "Well, we should write that because a lot of the people that are going to listen to your songs are moms and dads, and I think they're
Hmm.
really going to appreciate that." So we wrote that song together, and it's about like something that could um, encourage me as a young teen, and then also I want my daughters to know that you're gonna go through things where people are gonna tell you you can't do something, but God tells you like as long as you've got Him, like there's nothing that we can't accomplish, and
Right.
so it's a mixture for both me and my kids. Yeah.
Nice. It's funny you mentioned moms and dads because you're gonna love this. We're bringing our daughter to Winter Jam on the 10th in
Awesome.
Indianapolis. It's her third concert. Her name is all
Nice.
her. She'll be 6. Her name is also Mallory.
Nuh-uh.
Yes, for real. So
That's awesome. That's a great name.
it is, and so she's extremely excited. We're excited. It's gonna be fun. But I had to mention that because as soon as I saw you on the lineup, and then when Carol said I was going to be speaking with you, I'm like, gotta mention that. So
That's so sweet. I love that.
yeah, she can't wait. She's excited. One thing I also wanted to ask you about is at the end of the record, you have two a cappella songs, and they're both old school hymns. It
Yeah.
is well, and obviously Amazing Grace. What made you decide you wanted to do a cappella tracks? Because those really showcase your voice, which is ridiculously strong.
Well, thank you. I know it's a bit different and unconventional to put out a cappella songs, but I grew up singing in my dad's church, and it's a small little church, and on a good Sunday we have maybe 100 people, and we always, still to this day sing out of the hymns and very just traditional Southern, and every Sunday since I was probably 3 years old, I get up and sing Amazing Grace, or I sing it as well. And I really wanted to just kind of do my own version and put it out there for people like my family and I that really appreciate those old hymns. And it's definitely something different, but I knew that I had to um, be like, I loved having the chance to be able to go and record them and just be able to share those with my dad. Like my dad will be able to listen to me anytime, so because I'm missing Sunday's church for the next 12 weeks. So they'll
Right.
be able to just they'll just be able to play it during the service if they need to. But yeah, I've always loved those songs, and one of my favorite singers is Sonia Isaacs, and
Hmm.
I adore her voice, and I just kind of wanted to pay a little bit of tribute to the old fashioned hymns.
Nice. One of my favorite old school hymns? I grew up in small town Iowa in a small country church. We're talking 40, 50 people on a Sunday. And it was all old school hymns. One of my favorites was Victory in Jesus. But
Yes.
are there any other old school hymns that maybe you wanted to do, you just didn't have room for or time, or maybe you might want to do in the future?
For sure. I think my dream would be to make a whole hymn, like a hymnal album. And we actually just went to Israel. Dan and I went to Israel about the day after Christmas, and I was walking in the Garden of Gethsemane, and I actually
Mm.
sang in the garden because that's one of my
Oh,
favorite. one of my favorite hymns. So I love that one. I love How Great Thou Art. I mean,
Yeah.
all of those good ones.
Yeah, I remember going to
Hmm.
Promise Keepers back in the day
Oh
when I was a
yeah,
kid,
yeah.
and they would always do How Great Thou Art, but like just like an arena of like 30, 40, 50,000 people singing How Great They Are a cappella is like the most moving
Incredible.
thing ever. So
That's incredible.
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about that. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
absolutely. So after Winter Jam's over, I mean, not not really the best question I asked, but after Winter Jam's over in a couple months, I mean, what are we looking at for the rest of 2018? The year just got started. Winter Jam just got started.
Yep.
Um, but I mean, what's the rest of the year look like?
Well, after Winter Jam, I have some just one-off dates with different artists in May and or I guess that would be March, April, May,
Yeah.
June, and I hope that we are going to be sending out a single to radio this month,
Okay.
and hopefully we'll get some new music out. And I've been writing with some of the most incredible writers here in town, and um, the goal for me is just to keep creating and getting music out there and
Hmm.
getting to come and play and sing about the Lord. So hopefully I'm busy, which
Right.
is um, it's a really new transition for me to figure out how to balance all of this because I have two little kids right now. My 14-month-old is sleeping on the bunk while
Oh
I'm
wow.
doing this interview. So it's a big transition because I've just been writing and making the record for about 3 years, and so being
Right.
out on tour is a whole new world. And Dan actually has his two kids out with him this weekend
Oh,
too, so
awesome.
it's a family bus.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
great. Are you going to be singing? I know a lot of time, yeah, a couple shows you've been coming out and singing, for the crowd that's waiting outside. How often do you do that?
So we do that every show, unless it's like um, completely too cold.
Right, right.
But we did Grand Rapids last
Oh,
week, and there was snow everywhere, and we still
oh
came out and
man,
did it. So, yeah, we plan on doing it every single show,
awesome.
and I'm excited to come up there and do it.